Welcome back, everyone. And once again, we have someone who I believe has never read the Constitution portraying themselves as the expert on it. According to Rashida Tlaib, Trump subverts the United States Constitution every single day. And that's just not true. Now, if you read this, of course, Tlaib is basically saying that there is evidence that collusion happened, no matter what the Mueller report says. And there is evidence obstruction happened, no matter what the Mueller report says. There's a joke going around that we should build the border wall out of the Mueller report because no one can get over it. But that's actually true in many ways because no one can stop talking about it as if they've read everything in it when they haven't. Many of them haven't read it at all. But it's very simple. Robert Mueller worked for almost 2 years, a little over actually, investigating whether or not there was collusion with a foreign power in the 2016 election, and there was not. His report clearly states there was no collusion. His report also states that he could find no evidence of obstruction. Yet we have people like Tlaib or Schiff or Omar or Waters or Pelosi or Feinstein, Harris, Booker, Schumer, need I go on, day in, day out on the news talking about how we need to impeach for collusion that didn't happen or impeach for obstruction that didn't happen. Adam Schiff, famously, is saying that Trump is trying to cover up by using declassification, yet just a couple of years ago, he was cheering on Obama saying he needs to declassify everything he can. And this to me shows, one, a very dangerous situation when Congress doesn't know what's in the Constitution. Because you see, the president can, legally and constitutionally, give the Attorney General the legal authority to declassify information they feel needs to be declassified. The president does have the power of pardon, which, if you remember, Obama used to pardon Bradley Manning, who had turned over top secret and classified information to someone they should not have. Uh, it, it's just amazing to me that people who cheered Obama for pardoning Manning now say that Trump can't pardon anybody, or cheered Obama for declassifying information now say Trump should never declassify anything. In my experience, when someone says don't do that and there's no legal reason for them not to, well, that means they know what's there and they don't want it out because it would harm them. You see, we know that the FISA warrant was granted using only the Steele dossier. And from Steele himself, we know much of that information was, as he puts it, unverified. So why shouldn't that be declassified? Well, it's going to point to who helped pay for the dossier, point to who helped put it together, and point to who it was given to in the government and who took it to the FISA court. The FISA judge that ruled that just that one source allowed a warrant to spy on a campaign. They don't want any of this to come out. There is no abuse of power here. Okay, they're pointing to the border. Well, I'm sorry, United States law says there's a proper path to enter our country. That's being subverted by millions of illegal aliens a year, and we need to stop that. So a border barrier will help do that. But they don't want that now because that means the people they ultimately ship to California or New York who are granted a driver's license in that state and thus under motor voter registered to vote won't be here. Then they point to pardons that haven't even happened yet, as if the president cannot pardon someone they don't authorize. They point to the withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal, which essentially was a treaty that was never ratified, or the Paris Accords, where Obama just unilaterally acted and it was never ratified by the Senate, or by Congress, as it is supposed to be. So when those were withdrawn from, they scream as if the president is literally shredded the Constitution in front of them, and he's not. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have read the Constitution. I carry a copy of it with me daily. I actually have a copy that stays in my car just in case I don't pick it up on the way out of the house or if I leave it at work. I have several hundred sitting just a few feet to my left, and I will happily share those with anyone at my expense. I will mail a copy. I would send one to Representative Tlaib or Omar or AOC or any of them if I thought they would understand a word of it, but they won't if they read it, which they won't. You see, this is not about the Constitution. It has not been about the Constitution or United States law since 2016, when President Trump committed the cardinal sin of beating Hillary Clinton in an election rigged for her. Just as we heard in 2000, well, because California voted for Hillary, we have to give her the election. Well, I'm sorry, no. The Electoral College is not a tyranny of the minority. It is there to prevent smaller states and those in flyover country from becoming serfs to the coasts. You see, if it was a pure popular vote, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Oregon, California, Washington, those 6 states could outvote the rest of the country, virtually. And you would see a massive amount of red that had been overruled. We actually have a push by states to negate the Electoral College, something I have contacted the White House about multiple times, letting them know that this is a blatant violation of the U.S. Constitution. And I've not heard back on it. And now, it's not a violation because one state decides how they will award their electoral votes. It is, however, a violation when multiple states agree to all do this because the other states are pushing it. The Electoral College is part of the Constitution. If you want to get rid of it, submit an amendment to Congress. Get 2/3 of each house to vote yes. Get 3/4 of the states to ratify. But you see, liberals know that will never happen. They know that 38 states will never vote to give up the Second Amendment, to void the Fourth or Fifth Amendments, to shred the Electoral College. They know none of that will happen under the legal way to do it, so they circumvent it, all the while crying about Donald Trump so-called circumvention of Congress because he's wielding authority granted to him by the Constitution. We honestly are at a crisis point with Congress because we have people there who, in my mind, should not be there. If Omar and Tlaib are still, as they call themselves, refugees, they are not U.S. citizens if they are a refugee. Therefore, they should not be serving in Congress. Congress is a body that should only ever be served by American citizens. We have the amendment to the Constitution, which was ratified in 1971, lowering the age to vote to 18, specifically mentioning United States citizens who are 18 years of age or older may not be denied the right to vote based on age, sex, religion, creed, ethnicity, so on. But why then would they oppose the census asking if you are a citizen? And the long and short of it is, they know it will prove that California has far more registered voters than citizens. And they know that this will cripple them. But honestly, I don't expect logic out of any of them anytime soon. I'm pretty much on the same line of thought as Hannity or Senator Graham or several others, that they're going to eventually override Nancy Pelosi and pass articles of impeachment. It will never go anywhere in the Senate. They will cry about it. They will demand the Senate obey them and simply impeach, and then it will destroy their party. And when it does, you will finally see someone refuse to give up their office, as they say Trump will likely do if defeated in 2020. And that honestly is going to be the beginning of the end for this country, and it's going to be a day that's very sad to see. But I've talked about this long enough. Let me know what you think. Just remember, keep the comments civil. We do not learn from argument, we learn from debate. As always, please remember to like and share this video, as well as to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're among the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day.